It is a Sunday tradition for MAGA Republicans to go across all of the mainstream media shows and do whatever they can to defend whatever indefensible lie or statement that Donald Trump made in the previous week. And as we get closer and closer to the election, those statements, those lies become more ridiculous, more absurd, and of course more dangerous. And when they do so, the defense of Donald Trump from those Trump stooges, from those MAGA Republicans, gets more and more disingenuous. And so while we don't always see the mainstream media call out MAGA lies, they have nothing to do but call out these lies because they are so ridiculous. And we saw that today when Jake Tapper pushed back in a really great way, really just shutting up and shutting down Lindsey Graham for some lies that he was trying to tell in defense of Donald Trump. And I am excited to check out that clip because, of course, of all the Trump stooges, Lindsey Graham is probably up there in how bad he is. But before we get to that, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you enjoyed this channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way. Now, like I said, there are many Trump stooges who are trying to defend Donald's lies every Sunday. So before we get to Lindsey, I actually want to take a look at Republican Tom Emmer, who also got shut down in such a great way. But I think the lie that he was trying to push is a bit of good context for Lindsey's. So let's take a look.
I can't believe we're still talking about this, but the baseless claims elevated by Vance and Trump that Haitian migrants were eating their pets. You know that Mike DeWine, even governor of Ohio, said that is just simply not true. If the moderators in the debate asked Vance about this, should he finally make clear it is not true?
It's such a distraction. The people in the mainstream media want to put up these shiny objects to distract people from what they see happening every day. The economy is not working for everybody. The border is wide open.
Vance and Trump have talked about this issue.
I'm telling you, you got to focus on the issues.
They will
focus on the issues.
I always find it so ridiculous when Republicans like Tom Emmer want to pretend that it's so crazy, it's journalistic malpractice to be asked about Donald Trump and J.D. Vance's own words. They're not being twisted. They're not being contorted to make them look bad. They look bad because their words are bad, because the things they have said are so dangerous. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance's lie about Springfield, Ohio isn't just absurd and something that we should mock. It's not just some crazy conspiracy. It's having real implications on the people in that community. They are in danger because of Donald Trump's words. They are in danger because of J.D. Vance's actions. And of course, they take no accountability. They take no accountability for the bomb threats that are being called into schools, the division, the anger, the hate, the political violence. No. They don't care. And so for Tom Emmer to say that it's a distraction to ask about it, no, it was an attempt to distract by Donald Trump from his failed record. It was an attempt to distract by what a ridiculous debate performance he was giving. It's an attempt to distract by J.D. Vance. That's what this all is. And that's why I wanted to check out that clip before we got to Lindsey Graham, because it's exactly what Lindsey Graham tries to do, and what Jake Tapper holds him accountable for is trying to distract, trying to lie, trying to move things around and make sure we're not talking about the truth about Donald Trump. And I want to check that out right here.
Trump campaign, because I want to play something Trump said yesterday in a speech ostensibly about Vice President Kamala Harris's visit to the border. Let's take a listen.
Kamala is mentally impaired. Joe Biden became mentally impaired. Kamala was born that way. If you think about it, only a mentally disabled person could have allowed this to happen to our country.
Okay, so first of all, there are actual people out there with mental impairments, and that's insulting to them. Second of all, Vice President Kamala Harris is not mentally impaired.
No, I just think she's crazy liberal. I don't question her.
But what do you think about that rhetoric?
I just think the better course to take is to prosecute the case that her policies are destroying the country. They're crazy liberal. 400,000 people have been let loose in our country, 16,000 people convicted of being a rapist, 13,000 convicted murderers, and 400,000 of people generally convicted of crimes released on her watch. It's not going to get better.
So I saw that statistic. We dove into it, our fact checker. That statistic is actually over decades. So some of those people you're talking about are people that came into the country during Trump. And second of all, some of them are in prison. A lot of them are in prison, not ICE prisons, but federal prisons for their crimes.
I can tell you this, the man who killed Laken Riley in Georgia was released by the Biden-Harris administration on parole because they had no capacity at the border to hold him. That's not a reason to parole people. I promise you, women have been raped and murdered. People have been hurt by illegal immigrants released into this country without detention. It is a nightmare. It is crazy. It's crazy to boycott a speech by the Prime Minister of Israel to a joint session of Congress thinking it won't embolden Iran. Well, it's crazy to withdraw from Afghanistan hoping things will be different this time. Medicare for all, Green New Deal, crazy stuff.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying she's crazy. I'm saying your policies are batshit crazy.
Okay, well, they're not my policies, and there's a whole lot of things you said. I'll just say she didn't boycott.
She didn't show up.
She didn't show up. But let's focus on Trump's.
Lindsey Graham really lacks a spine, doesn't he? Like I said at the beginning of this video, one of the most disingenuous Trump stooges trying to turn this around on Kamala Harris, and again getting fact-checked like we saw there by Jake Tapper for this number that Republicans are trying to push right now about how many criminals have been let into the country under the Biden-Harris administration, when that is not actually an accurate figure. And a lot of those individuals were let in during Donald Trump's administration. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about how border crossings right now are lower under the Biden-Harris administration than many months during the Trump administration. They don't want to talk about comprehensive immigration reform. They don't want to talk about real border security. They don't want to solve problems. And that's why I wanted to play that clip of Tom Emmer, because this is all a distraction from Lindsey Graham. A distraction away from Donald Trump's failed record, a distraction away from the things that Donald Trump has said, the disgusting comments that he made about Kamala Harris as he continues to just get more and more depraved in attacking her. This is a distraction. They don't want to talk about anything substantive, because if they did, it would be pointed out how dumb their candidate is, how out of it he is, and how out of control he is. That is incredibly clear. And so Lindsey has to distract, and he has to lie on behalf of Donald Trump. And we saw the same thing from Marco Rubio when he was asked about Donald Trump's defense of Putin. More lies, more distraction, but he was called out. So let's take a look.
Well, and Senator, just following up on that point a little bit, Iran has been supplying Russia with weapons in its war against Ukraine, including drones,
Correct.
including short-range ballistic missiles. And yet Donald Trump will not say that he wants Ukraine to win the war. Are you concerned about the message that that sends to Vladimir Putin and the supreme leader?
No, because I think, unfortunately, I'm not on Russia's side, but unfortunately the reality of it is that the way the war in Ukraine is going to end is with a negotiated settlement. And I want, and we want, and I believe Donald Trump wants, for Ukraine to have more leverage in that negotiation.
How can you take these people seriously? Marco Rubio still hasn't come out and said that he thinks Donald Trump is fit to have the nuclear codes. So that guy who won't say that he thinks Donald Trump should have the nuclear codes is also advocating that he will be the right one to broker a peace deal between Ukraine and Putin that doesn't sell out our ally in Ukraine, that doesn't sell out the Ukrainian people. No, Marco Rubio doesn't believe that. He's lying. And he's lying to protect Donald Trump as Putin's pet. He does not believe what he is saying. Again, it is just the work to distract. And it's hilarious to me that after the meeting, if we can even call it that, because it was just so gross, that Trump had with Zelensky when he was praising Putin in front of him, we believe that Ukraine wants Donald Trump to be negotiating any sort of deal. No. You could see the look on Zelensky's face. You saw it as well. He's like, this guy? Really? And besides that, Donald Trump continues to prove just how weak he is in the face of being checked even remotely. And that's perfectly put in this ad from the Lincoln Project right here.
Donald Trump is a broken man, terrified of Kamala Harris. Shaky, scared, weak. He's a chicken. Limp, old, tired, and impotent. He's lost his edge, his mojo, all that power he once had, and he knows the end is coming. The final days of his campaign are nothing but a sleazy, desperate grab for cash and nothing more. He's hiding from Kamala. He won't debate her. He knows what happened last time.
They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets.
If Trump can't even face his political opponents, there's no way he can stand up against Vladimir Putin, Iran, and ISIS. And there was never a chance he'd stand up for you.
How could he be a leader on the world stage? He wasn't before, never has been, and he never will be. And that's why it's not just people like us calling out Donald Trump, but former Republicans stepping up and standing up to him, like we see right here.
Well, I think Republican
Senator Jeff
believe
Flake.
in the rule of law in particular, and it's difficult to support a candidate who, having lost an election, tries to use the powers of the presidency to overturn that election. That is anything but respect for the rule of law. So I know that a lot of conservative Republicans feel the way I do, that you just can't support a candidate like that.
We need more of that. We need to be calling him out. We need to be continuing to build this big tent, this big coalition every single day. And we are going to be working to do that on this channel. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already and you enjoy this channel, you can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.